Okay, thank you for choosing Orange County CDL truck rental today. What we're going to do is we're going to go over section B, which is basically side of the vehicle. So no matter what, you're going to check the air brakes and in cab, which is all up here. Okay, no matter what section you do. And you're always checking the fifth wheel and the kingpin and locking jaws and all that stuff. Both sides, and then connects the truck to the trailer. Then you're doing side of the truck, which is everything in here in the rear axle. So what we're going to do is we're going to go and start the side of the truck. After we do the air brakes and in cab, we're just going to go and jump to the side mirror. That's where we're going to start. So we're going to start right here at the mirror. This is the passenger side. It's not cracked or damaged, secure with nuts and bolts. You're going to come to the door. Say the door opens and closes properly. It's not cracked, damaged, secured with hinges with nuts and bolts. We've got our door seal, which is intact. Not cracked, damaged, or missing, or ripped, torn, or frayed. Then we're going to keep coming down here. We've got our fuel tank, or I'm sorry, steps secured with nuts and bolts, not cracked or damaged, no illegal debris or grease on there. We got our fuel tank, it's not cracked, damaged, or leaking, secured with straps and a rubber seal underneath. Maybe a little, there it is. A rubber seal underneath. We got our fuel tank cap, it's not cracked, damaged, or leaking. And how I would know it's leaking, if I could smell it, I could see it, and feel it. So it's basically a couple senses. I can basically smell it, see it, or feel it. There's only one examiner that usually asks that. That's kind of why I'm saying that, and had a little blank there. Then you're going to keep coming back here. You can leave the door open if you want. This is a hydraulic tank. You can say I would check this the same as a fuel tank. Do you want me to? If they say yes, that means you didn't do so well in your fuel tank. If they say no, then just keep moving. So then we're going to come up here to the catwalk. Catwalk is secured with nuts and bolts, not cracked, damaged, no illegal debris, no grease or oil on it. We're going to come back here to the frame and cross member. Frame and cross member, secured with nuts and bolts, not cracked, damaged, no illegal welds or drill holes. Then we're going to come down here to the drive shaft. Drive shaft is not cracked, damaged, it's straight, nothing wrapped around it, secured at the universal joint, which is properly greased, not cracked, damaged, or missing any nuts and bolts. And then we're going to come to here, the exhaust. Right there, the exhaust, not cracked, damaged, secured with nuts and bolts. It's not leaking. If it was leaking, I would see black soot wherever it's leaking from. After the exhaust, we're going to come to the rear axle. So the rear axle of the truck. You don't have to climb underneath. I'm just kind of getting there to show you. But we have our axle is straight, not cracked, damaged, properly greased, nothing wrapped around it. After the axle, we have our U-bolts. U-bolts are not cracked, damaged, or missing, secured with nuts on the underside. Then we have our leaf springs. Leaf springs, not cracked, damaged, no more than a quarter of them. Can be cracked, damaged, or missing, or else my truck is out of service. Got our leaf spring hangers, not cracked, damaged, secured with nuts and bolts. Got our torque spring, secured with nuts and bolts, not cracked, damaged, or missing. After that, we don't have any airbags or shocks, so we're going to go straight to the air brake hoses. Air brake hoses, not cracked, damaged, or leaking, and probably secured at each end. Go into our brake chamber. Brake chamber, it's a dual brake chamber. Two brake chambers, not cracked, damaged, or leaking, secured with nuts and bolts. The C-clamp is secured with nuts and bolts, not cracked, damaged, or missing. And then you're going to climb under here. You don't have to again. I'm just going to show you guys. Now you have a push rod and slack adjuster, not cracked, damaged, secured with pin and safety pin. No more than 2 inches of play. And then we're going to go to the brake shoes. You can't really see them, but there's an inspection hole right here. If you had a flashlight, you're going to say it's not cracked, damaged, no less than a quarter inch, or else my truck is out of service. No legal oil or grease in them. Then you're going to come into the brake drum. Brake drum is not cracked, damaged, no legal oil, grease, no legal welds. Then you're going to go to the rim, no legal welds, not cracked, damaged. All 3 sides of my tires, no abrasion, bumps, or cuts. Evenly worn, no less than 30 seconds in the back. Space between the tires, there's no, tires aren't touching, there's no debris. Then we're going to come to the outside of the tire. Give me a sec. Sorry. Coming out here, we got our lug nuts. The lug nuts are all present. They're not cracked, damaged, or missing. And if they were loose, I would see shiny threads or I'd see rust trails. Then we have our axle seal. Axle seal is secured with nuts and bolts, not cracked, damaged, or missing, and not leaking. Here's our valve stem. It's not cracked, damaged, or leaking. If it was leaking, or I'm sorry, if I need to check my tire pressure, I'd check it with the tire gauge and fill it to 105 psi. Then we come back over here. Our mud flaps are secured with nuts and bolts, not cracked, damaged, or dragging. We have our DOT tape, which is red and white color, not cracked, damaged, or missing. We're going to go to our lights. Our lights, so we have our brake, turn, running, left signal, right signal, four ways, red in color, not cracked, damaged, or missing, and secured with nuts and bolts. If you want to talk about the reverse light, you can. It's white in color. Then we're going to jump straight up to the fifth wheel. Fifth wheel is straight, not cracked or damaged, properly greased. Locking jaw, which is that horizontal bar up there, it's not cracked, damaged, properly locked around the kingpin and properly greased. Then you have the apron, which is right here. This is what the DMV is calling the apron, is right here. Not cracked, damaged, properly greased. Technically this is. Then we have a skid plate, which is up there between the trailer and the fifth wheel. So there's no gap between the trailer and the skid plate. I'm sorry, skid plate and the trailer. It's not cracked, damaged, properly greased. Scarab pin and safety pin over here on the side, right about there. Then we have our platform, which is this guy right here, secured with these nuts and bolts. Not cracked, damaged, no illegal welds. Then we're going to come out and talk about the airlines. Airlines, not cracked, damaged, or leaking, properly secured at each end. Glad hands, not cracked, damaged, or leaking, properly secured. Electrical, not cracked, damaged, or frayed, and properly connected at each end. Electrical connector, properly secured with nuts and bolts, not cracked, damaged, and properly latches and unlatches. Then you're going to step back for a second. You're going to grab that release handle for the fifth wheel. The release handle is not cracked, damaged, properly locked into place, which is that guy right there. You're going to step back for a second, make sure you got everything. After that, you're going to tell the examiner, hey, I checked my lights at this point, will you help me? And if they say yes, then after you check your lights, you're going to tell them you're done. If they say, yeah, it's fine, you already did them, then you're going to say, okay, that completes my walk around. After that, hopefully you go for a drive. Okay, thank you again for choosing Orange County CDL Truck Rental. If you have any questions, please send us an email, occdltruckrental@gmail.com, or give us a call, 714-227-6254. Thank you and have a wonderful day.